got here at the moment. I'd like to start with Atlanta Reign and go from A to Z.
Okay, Atlanta.
Atlanta.
All right, Atlanta, the team that's done things, but they need to do more things.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So I think the first like big thing that people definitely are hype about it is seeing Pelican. That goes without saying. And that's kind of a positive point, but to your point, Toucan, like I am waiting with bated breath with what Atlanta, is doing. I think it's actually pretty surprising that nobody in the offseason has tried to go after some of their other Korean players that they kind of shed. I was hoping that maybe some other teams were taking a look at people like Pokpo, and maybe cobbling together a full Korean team that you could take from contenders and some of these talents that didn't survive the 2021 offseason chaos and throw them together. So Atlanta has been like relatively quiet. Obviously, rumor has it, things may or may not be kicking off there sometime soon. So we'll have to see, if it comes to fruition. But yeah, so far it's fine. I don't expect them to be poor, but I get a very similar feeling to the 2019 Philadelphia Fusion, where it's like everybody else is leveling up, guys. Everybody else is making big moves, and Pelican, by no stretch of the imagination, is a bad move. But is that enough? Is that all you want to do? That's the kind of the taste in my mouth with Atlanta at the moment.
Yeah, the Atlanta has just made very they got rid of deadweight with FRD, Fire, Saucy. I mean, I didn't think getting rid of Pogba was a smart decision from Atlanta. I thought he was very good. I thought he was genuinely better than Gator at times, like on the Reinhardt, on the Orisa. Maybe Gator is the better Orisa player, but man, it's just the thing with this team is I think I speak for a lot of Reign fans here. That coaching needs to change. It has not changed in 2 years. I don't think Seffi's the answer anymore, in my opinion. But
it's tough.
You could have all these great talent, but if you can't mold them and coach them into potentially even better players, it's like a recipe for mediocrity, in my opinion. But what do you guys think about Seffi and the coaching staff?
I've always given Seffi a lot of credit in terms of building, at least initial building, but in terms of execution, I do have to kind of, push back a little against that, where it's like, yeah, like you might have like an eye for talent, you might have an eye for building like a solid team, at least on paper. Obviously going back to like the
I can't hear Vol.
Oh,
what happened?
Shy.
Hey, Obi, I can I think I seen Vol's mic moving, but I can't hear him talking.
Check your volume settings, my friend.
Yeah, I have him on. Wait, let me just lower it down and lower it back.
Can you hear me, Kenobi?
I can hear you just fine, yeah.
Oh,
It's great to be able to hear that this is a lot of momentum from Atlanta. Just from, I think, only 2 signings. So the fact is, it's looking like a team that, to be honest, it's actually won right now. The technicality is, I think Valiant have signed KSP already. So I think there have been some conversations around LA Valiant. I think they've made some big changes, but we'll get to that as we do and drops up. Kai, formerly KSP, be on this team. And what do you think of an impact will that be for Edison, Kai, Pelican as your DPS line?
I think it's
I'm
easily a
leave and
strong one.
Back. I'm sorry, guys, because I can't hear him.
Okay,
oh, you're
no
good.
Worries.
Should I leave too?
If you want. No,
just like refresh.
Yeah, it's just a quick refresh, gang.
Yeah, anything.
There you go.
Maybe it does.
Hello there. Got the obligatory hello there from past episodes, so I'm glad I can get it back.
There we go. Now I can hear
now.
Good?
Yeah,
fixed.
All is well now.
We got it. Thank you so much for doing that.
There we go. All right, Atlanta. DPS line. I think it's good. But in terms of to kind of bridge the two topics together, though, like, I don't know how much you caught Toucan, but I was kind of giving Sephi a bit of praise in terms of building out the systems that he's created, looking at like what he did with San Francisco in the beginning, getting Super, getting Sinatra, banking on them. It didn't necessarily pay out all that well, but obviously set them up for success in the future. And I think they have a good group of players. So, like, again, it feels like that system's intact, or at least like that eye for talent is there. But I agree that the results aren't tracking. The results are just not coming from this foundation. So the foundation's there. I don't know if maybe he's just better off in like a GM role or what have you. But yeah, I do kind of waffle on that opinion. Like I like Suffy. I think he's been around for forever and deserves respect. But when we put pen to paper, it's those results really just aren't there.
Yeah, like as a Shock fan, Sephi definitely set us up for success, and I tip my hat off to him. I think, I mean, before like I saw this tweet about like moving on from Overwatch, I thought Atlanta should go after Packing as a head coach.
Oh, for sure.
I think 100%. It would be a good fit. He fits in with that sort. I think Atlanta has like that sort of trash talking. They have that trash talk vibe with them. They don't.
A little bit. They're definitely a little edgy.
They're a loud team.
Yeah,
I think Packing is
good way to put it.
Packing is a good dude.
I think he'd facilitate like the positives from being that kind of loud, maybe abrasive team, but would probably also give them like that leadership that they're probably looking for. Or just would need. And I think a lot of teams just need somebody like Packing who can kind of like inject energy, but also dictate how the team should be, discipline when necessary,
Yeah.
Build people up when otherwise. He's kind of a diamond in the rough, and it's sad that we've lost him because you could probably slap him on any team and he'd probably do well. I don't doubt that for a second.
I mean, he's a no bullshit type of coach by the looks of things,
Looking 100%. At Atlanta, Boston, and Chengdu coming up, I think Sephi, as well as the organization, of course, everybody went through their different dips and peaks throughout lockdown and having to play online. But I definitely noticed it more for Atlanta without having a backup off tank, for example, that they could depend on. For some reason, FRD wasn't getting field. And as I look at the roster now for this year, there's not going to be a lot of backups for a number of roles. Half of the course playing with the minimum 8. Maybe they might be having another strategy going into it now that they can really focus on how this online situation could really work in their favor. But I think most of the setup that's required to get those temporary 14-day contract players is not very easy to set up and might not even be worth the time investment.
Yeah, I think another thing that probably affected Atlanta, I think they were one of the teams that took the online and COVID situation pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
Probably took it harder. And I mean, probably every team took it hard, but they're one of the teams you looked at and you're like, man, I mean, what Dogman said about Erster, like Erster didn't even like play Overwatch.
Yeah, it was
it makes sense.
Marco moment, right? Just dropped off. Most of the competition and during the regular.
I just think they need to sign some backups. I think Rain on the Atlanta Rain would make a lot of sense because I think Rain is Rain is one of the most underrated main supports.
Sure,
but we all know Atlanta are spenders. They're not afraid to.
I don't know.
These
days with COVID, I don't think teams. If there's ever been a time to not be spenders, it'd be now. So I do expect Atlanta to do something maybe a little bit creative, especially when it comes to those 14-day contracts or signing people. Maybe like early
Experiment.
mid-season to kind of bring in
Mid-season,
and say
yeah.
like, oh, this is where we have a deficit. This is where we're, lacking players. This is where we can kind of fill in now that we, see the landscape a little bit better. They always seem to impress. Seffi does it again, to his credit. He does kind of have a foresight to him. Speaking to him, coming into the 2020 season, they had some pretty interesting plans for travel and what they were planning on doing. It was, it was really interesting to hear. Obviously, those plans never came to fruition because the world, became a living chastity belt. But it is what it is, I guess. So I expect something to happen from this team that might be a little, maybe not cutting edge, but creative, let's say.
Yeah, I think to kind of wrap things up on Atlanta this season, if they do sign Kai, they'll have Edison and Kai for a double hit skin, and then they'll have like Kai, Pelican, Edison, Pelican. I just maybe they have a year under their belts. They're more used to the situation. This team could be good, or they're just going to be gatekeepers like they were last year. They'll be like that. This team can beat all the ones that they're supposed to beat, but they can never beat the ones that are above them. That's my thoughts for Atlanta.
Yeah, I feel it.